5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
We're in the pipe. 5 by 5.
This is the 5 on Film podcast.
Hello and welcome to 5 on Film Review Edition. This is our first review of a movie out at the cinemas at the moment. We are going to be discussing James Bond in No Time to Die, the 25th James Bond film and Daniel Craig's 5th tenure as James Bond.
James Bond, licensed to kill, in love with Madeline Swan. I could be speaking to my own reflection. Only your skills die with your body. And life is all about leaving something behind. Isn't it?
Come on, Bond. Where the hell are you? Okay.
Joining me this week are 5 on Film regular Chris and
Hello.
40 on Film previous guest and James Bond fan, Colin.
Bonsoir.
First of all, guys, what do we think of the film? Chris, starting with you, what do you think of No Time to Die? No spoilers at the moment.
So it's really difficult to give an opinion without any spoilers. One line summary would be it was an alright standalone sort of spy adventure film, kind of without factoring in the James Bond franchise. I think it was a competent, alright film. Yeah.
Okay. Colin, what do you think, non-spoiler, of No Time to Die?
Two words. Cultural vandalism. I thought it was, aside from the obvious professional aspect that Chris has touched upon there, I would hope if you're going to drop £300 million on a film, it's going to look and sound and be all right technically, and it is. But apart from that, one word, which is a Bond quote: appalling.
Okay, so we have a mixed bag from Chris. Colin, not a fan. I'm on the other end of the spectrum. I very much enjoyed this film. I think it's a nice cap on the end of Daniel Craig's 5 films. I think it completes his arc quite nicely. I'd say it is a vast improvement on the previous film. And I would say that I would probably slot it in as third in Daniel Craig's tenure, with Casino Royale and Skyfall being his top 2, and Spectre and Quantum of Solace being the weakest point in his 5-film tenure. I think, yeah, as Chris said, I think if you take it out of the James Bond franchise completely, then it is it's a film that is very, very, very enjoyable, and I think there are some James Bond fans who appreciate it, and some James Bond fans, clearly from Colin's point of view, who did not. So my next question before we roll into spoilers on the film is, Chris, do you have an opinion on who the next James Bond could or should be?
Good luck, Chris.
Again, Paul, I struggle to answer this question based on what happens at the end of the film. It has completely thrown me. I don't like it, and I won't have it.
Colin, do you have an opinion on who you think would be a good replacement for the being James Bond and taking up the tenure in the future?
I think a really good replacement would actually definitely be a man. Okay, let's start with the basics.
Okay.
It's going to be a man. Okay, that'll be the one sort of concession I'll make.
Barbara said as such, I believe.
Good. Barbara said a lot of things. I don't trust Barbara. I mean, I've never met her. I'm sure she's a lovely, lovely woman, and she knows more about this shit than I do. But equally, she's in a bubble there. I mean, with the audience, and I've been following this bastard since I was 7, and I've never felt so literally disenfranchised. Literally, I've just thought of that. Disenfranchised. Put that on the poster as well, along with cultural vandalism. Right now, I couldn't give a shit who the next Bond's going to be. I just don't care, because whoever it's going to be is going to have to sort of inherit this poison chalice. It's got. I mean, ask me this 2 weeks ago, and I would have sort of come up with some names. But now I'm just beyond. It's almost beyond comprehension. I just couldn't care less. I'm, in the words of what's his name on Dragon's Den, I'm out.
So for me, I think it's got to be a man as well. I feel like there are lots of females introduced in this film that are very good characters. Colin clearly did not like some of those female characters.
They're not even good characters.
But
that's the thing. I'm going to stop you there. Sorry, if the technology will allow it. They're not even good characters.
It's fine.
They're sort of hateful characters. They're joyless, borderline, misandry character. It's just they're not good characters. They're ciphers.
I liked Anna de Armas. I thought her small
Anna de Armas is that the actress from Blade Runner?
Wasted.
Shoehorned.
Yes.
Wasted.
And Knives Out
Yes.
Great girl. Comes in, goes out.
Wasted.
It's almost like she got the yellow page. Yeah. She got the yellow pages and filmed from Monday through to next Saturday, and then you're done. And then we got Remy. Remy comes in and he's got the purple pages, and he's doing next Wednesday through till I think it's the following Friday. And then Daniel, you do most of it, but have a bit off in the middle, and we'll just shoot something else. And then I tell you what, it'll all be a surprise in the edit. Okay. All right, so nobody swap pages, and we'll see what we get.
What I did enjoy learning about was that Remy Malek and Daniel Craig did not meet whilst filming because they were never on set together.
They obviously did because they have a fight.
What I heard was that they were never filming they never had a face-to-face scene together because their schedules were
but that's clearly. But now that you've seen the film, you know.
So I don't know whether that
correct,
included the
they
fight.
do have a face-to-face scene in a paddling pool.
Thinking back to it, I can't remember seeing them next to each other face to face.
Maybe I don't. But it would have been. Yes. Did we see singles of the two of them? Did we see over the shoulders of stand-ins?
Wow. Maybe they were comped in. I mean,
it's something that. Yeah.
Now you've blown my mind. I do remember, Chris. I remember that, but I thought that I didn't recall that during those scenes, but a lot of those scenes were viewed like this.
In particular, the one that I remember after learning this was the part where they're in the lair towards the end, and Remy Malek's Safin is sat down, and James Bond comes in, and they were never there together during that scene. And you can see there's never a two shot with them.
So I think it should be Dan Stevens next. There you go. I'm just throwing that out. That's my pick for the next James Bond. Dan Stevens, the man from
Uncle.
Yes, he's my pick for James Bond. I know a lot of people have said Idris and all sorts of people like that, but I think Dan Stevens, the man from who was in Downton Abbey a long time ago, British actor. He played the Beast in the live-action Beauty and the Beast movie. He is my pick for the next James Bond. We'll see if that happens.
Okay.
Slightly different look, but yeah, I think.
Okay, Paul.
Yeah,
I will just segue in here then. In a normal world, in a world before No Time to Die, I would say Henry Cavill would be my Bond to take over the franchise.
He lost out to Daniel Craig 15 years ago. Potentially, yes.
Because he was too young.
And then also...
He was second choice.
He was in The Man from U.N.C.L.E. Yeah.
And he looked amazing in it. And
that was
his
Yeah.
That was his pitch. That was his...
Yeah. So,
yeah. And he is the age Daniel Craig was when Daniel Craig was
I have
picked.
said that this is 15 years for Daniel Craig. He is the actor that has held the title of Bond the longest. Previous to this, on consecutive...
there's a technicality there.
I would say.
What, because of holding off on the release?
Sean Connery did come back. But... so previously, Roger only had the role for 12 years. Although he released the most amount of movies, he only held the role for 12 consecutive years. So Daniel Craig has held the role for 15 years. So, so let's... anybody who is listening to this and hasn't seen this movie, stop now and go and watch the movie, because I would say... In my opinion, even though it's clear that two of the panel here are not fans of the film, I think it's always best for you to go and gauge your own opinion and to go and see movies and experience films back at the cinema, as you can do at the moment. So even though there are two people here that were not fans of this film, I think it's worth going and patronising the cinemas. Let everybody know that we want to go and watch films at the cinema again, and decide for yourselves. Then come back and listen to this, which is our spoiler discussion on this movie. Colin, you've been the most animated about this. In a spoilery fashion, we're going to talk about the movie. Just a quick overview of the film, which is that we're picking up Bond is in a relationship with, which has been left from the end of Spectre. He wants to... lead a normal life, it seems, and people will not let him lead a normal life in this film. He's not allowed nice things, and he cannot get away from his spy life, it appears, and we pick him up, I believe, in Italy. Yes. Colin, what do you think?
Yeah. What
do you think?
What did I think about what the opening? The opening.
Well, just the movie in general. Go on, go from the opening. The opening was a flashback scene with Madeleine's character as a child. Did you enjoy that?
Oh yeah, that's right. There's I don't think this is a huge spoiler. I was amused. I made a sort of slight Roger Moore eyebrow when I spied Wallace and Gromit playing. So that was but I mean, I tell you what, if that's the moment that stands out, I mean, it doesn't bode well, does it? As my good friend and colleague Chris brought up when we chatted about this, I say chatted when we just sort of wept openly in the street, clutching a coffee in London about a fortnight ago. He worked out sort of Remy's character's age. And said, well, if this happened when Madeline Madeline was a child of, I don't know,
Yes.
12, whatever she was. He was, and we sort of we did the maths.
6 or
And
7,
it's like
I
the
think.
bad guy would have been about 6. Or was she 6? I don't know. We figured out that the bad guy probably would have been a child.
Yeah.
So, as well. Because when we see him later in the film...
I think that it's
What, is that a
supposed to be
spot-
25 years past. No. So
Yeah, so even if he was if he was like 19 or
45.
20, that would make him
Yeah.
like
Well, if he was 20,
45 to 50. And he's not been
we
aged
didn't see his
up
face
at all.
in that opening. We saw a little tiny corner. It could have been a 20-year-old.
Yeah, but then he doesn't look 50
Maybe.
in more
Maybe. It
current
is a little bit
contemporary
strange, I
day.
agree. It is.
He
He is a. It would have been. Yeah, it is picky, but yeah. But I did quite like that in that opening scene they brought back the. It was a spiel. No, it was a
Tamagotchi.
spiel from within Spectre when she says about like knowing how to use her dad's gun and all that sort of stuff. Where he hid it underneath the kitchen cabinet was mentioned in Spectre, and then they made a whole scene around it in the start of this movie, which was, I guess, something. And I quite liked the scene itself. I thought the scene itself was quite a nice way to open the movie. And it rolled into the titles, which I quite liked. I thought the titles were quite stylish.
Right.
No,
Okay.
that was one of two
okay.
cold
Sorry.
opens.
Opening.
There were two.
Chris, what was... Describe for our viewers and listeners at home what the other cold opener was.
So we go from 1993 to 2015, 16, so the end of Spectre, straight into James Bond and Madeline are in Italy with the DB5, and they go to a gorgeous city
Nice
town
to
in
shot.
Italy where they burn.
I had to look it up
notes.
straight after I wanted to visit it.
And
It's gorgeous.
it's not
yeah.
It's not memories, but they write down sins or things that they want to just get rid of, and this happens to be the resting place of Eva Green's
Vespa.
character, Vespa, and he goes to her grave, it's an actual, I don't know what you call that, mausoleum, thank you.
Yeah.
And he's written a note saying, "Forgive me," and then he burns it, and then he notices a little card next to some flowers by her grave, and it's a Spectre card, and then suddenly the whole mausoleum blows up in his face, and then he races back to Madeline, who's already packing to go for some reason, even though she wouldn't be, and then he suspects that she's in on it and she's tipped off Spectre, and then they escape, and then there's this very cool scene where some henchmen start chasing Bond and Vespa in the DB5.
But
Not
yeah.
Vespa, Madeline, mate.
No. I mean, I think
don't know how much detail you want to go into.
He eventually he puts her on a train after they escape from the henchmen. Yes.
As she's clutching her stomach. So it's that for me that gave it away.
So I didn't actually get that when I was watching the film. I don't know. I went to a relatively late showing. I didn't notice that. I know that she was saying that I want to tell you something, but yeah, which obviously was that she was pregnant, but yeah, she never gave that away. Colin, what did you think of that opening? Then it was a good scene, wasn't it?
No, it wasn't, because before Billie Eilish, whatever her name is, comes and sort of sings this insipid recording, which even now I don't know what the name of it was, and I don't really care. So I don't need your top trump chip in. I couldn't care less what it was called. That tells you all you need to know. Everything about this film is just unmemorable, and that is. But already you feel as though Bond is a minor character in his own narrative. Already, this opening sequence, it's not about him. It's about the girls. And so you get to the opening, you get to the title sequence with that horrible feeling of dread, which accompanies when Bond is on an off streak, which is sad but true. As I've said, I think to Chris in the past, it's like following a football team. You know, you get good seasons, you get bad seasons, but you stick with it and you follow and you hope and you pray and you go up, you go down, or whatever. And usually you get to the opening, you get to the title sequence, and you kind of know, you have a gut feel about where this is going. Okay, so I don't know, past examples. I mean, Christ, Spy Love Me. You know, let's ski off a fucking cliff, right? Let's ski off a fucking cliff and then pull the ripcord, and then there's the flag of the Union on a fucking parachute, and then it goes into this. Boom. What happens in this? He puts a girl on a train. Shit. Wow, I'm pumped up for this one. Really pumped up. And that's it. The thing plays out like a soap opera. The whole thing at 3 hours plays out like a soap opera. Now, I don't know whether the gentleman that directed it has made any features before. I know he's done telly. I'm not aware of his work. It's not a TV series. There's a different pace. There's a different format. There's a different way of doing things. And this was like, just kind of, oh no. And then we go into the titles. And the titles were quite cool. I like something about Daniel Kleinman doing his stuff. That's great. I liked all that. But already it's kind of this.
Did you like the song, Paul?
I'm indifferent on the song. It wasn't my favourite. It was fine. Yeah.
I didn't like it. It was solid. It was better than Sam Smith's.
I mean, for me, it was.
But it just never goes. It doesn't go anywhere.
The best of the three
great
ones. Moving on, I can't remember what happened out of the titles. What happened out of the titles? But that's not a good sign. I know I like the film, but that's not a good sign.
Didn't we get some blokes descending a strap saying 5 years later?
Was it 5 years later? Yeah.
And then Hugh Dennis turns up, and it's kind of stunt casting, and it's like, why is Hugh Dennis in this film? That's putting me off.
I mean,
you know, I was expecting, territory, the cast of Outnumbered to be working in the lab, and there would be his kids, and I thought, who would put kids in a Bond film? And then imagine my surprise 2 hours later when a kid turns up in a Bond film, and it's like, I'm out.
Yeah.
I'm out.
We're in spoiler territory. The end of the movie there is clearly time to die, and Hugh Dennis is the reason that happened. If he had just taken one for the team and not let the bad guys get these nanobots, which are the MacGuffin of the movie, nothing happens. He's the only one who can let that out. And so Hugh Dennis is the reason why James Bond is dead.
So you're saying that Hugh Dennis's character's very much like the gunner on the Death Star that didn't blow up R2-D2 and C-3PO's escape pod.
He died anyway. If he'd just said no and just died there, that would have been it. It wouldn't have caused the rest of the movie to happen. Just as
just silly.
A plot point there. It is a little bit. Yeah. So Spectre steal a load of nanobot technology.
So you just without any sort of fanfare there, you just leaked the fact that Bond is killed.
I have
at the end of the
film.
We're
in spoiler territory.
So I hope
yes.
I hope the flag has gone up, because that fundamentally.
Yeah, I'll get.
that he literally becomes a toxic male, so they have to kill him. Subtext.
I mean, yeah. James Bond's not allowed nice things, as I said earlier, and I think that's kind of the outline of this movie, is that this life will always catch up with you. And I know that's not quite how Ian Fleming wrote James Bond, in that he always comes back and he is a superstar.
Certainly isn't.
And all this sort of stuff. But I kind of felt like it was a fitting end to this arc. I know, as two people who are fans of the franchise, clearly don't agree, but I felt like it was a way to wrap up. If this character wasn't called James Bond, this was the question I was going to ask you, Colin. If this character wasn't called James Bond, and if there wasn't Moneypenny M and they were all called different names, would this be a bad film? Or is it that it is part of this iconic franchise that has made it so disappointing?
It's not. It's not. Yeah, obviously, fundamentally, for the latter part of your question, yeah, it's tragic. It's an absolute travesty for his character, and it is. I mean, at the end of the day, guys, it's only a movie. I know that, but no, it wouldn't be. It simply isn't my cup of tea. It wouldn't have been my cup. I mean, it wasn't my cup of tea, and it certainly wouldn't have been my cup of tea. The only reason I went is there's so many things here. I'm very, I have to go and see it. I mean, I know, guys, listen, if there are other people, I don't know a damn thing about Star Wars. Not a damn thing, right? I've never really seen more than about 2 or 3 of them, okay? I don't know anything about that universe, and if that's your thing, that's fantastic. But I've heard on the grapevine that's got cocked up by various things. And the problem I have is that now this has gone the same way. And it's just a desertion of a character for the sake of moving with the times, as long as the times are, we don't really like men very much. What is at the heart of this film, as I say, is sort of thinly veiled misandry, because that's the thing right now. So if this wasn't Bond, I would have walked out of it halfway through if I'd have, inadvertently bought a ticket to Jim Brown and No Time to Die to the end, so that I can do things like this and sort of, I know what I'm talking about. I've got through to the end. I've seen James Bond Will Return, and I've gone, right, well, how are you going to do that? Because you just killed him. Are you saying that you just killed that? Have you just stopped Daniel Craig doing it? Or have you killed... What have you actually done here? What have you actually done by saying that James Bond Will Return? Is it, as I'm almost terrified to contemplate, last shot of the film is on his daughter. Oh, his daughter. There's kids in a Bond film. Great. And she's there, and it's like, well, James can be a girl's name, so, who knows? But it's not what I signed up for, when I got this.
Yeah.
Get your own franchise, Wonder Woman or My Little Pony or something. It's James Bond.
Do you feel like this is a question that Chris huffs at me when we discussed it earlier? Is James Bond then from Dr. No till now been one character? Each different actor playing a different version of James Bond? Is James Bond a code name, which I know Chris absolutely hates, in that it's a code name for 007, and they just the reason why he changes actors is because 007 changes, as we are kind of given in this movie. No,
it's because they get old.
Because 007
No, they change actors. This is what's getting mixed up. You've got a character. You've got it's only a movie, so actors get old and they can't run around anymore and shoot because they're old. I love
exactly.
Roger Moore,
Yeah.
but when he's in View to a Kill, he knows that he's over. He knows he's a lovely man. He says it himself.
He's too
And again,
old.
I'll come back to this in a minute because we are talking about more than ever. We are talking about the actor, and the issue I've got with this it has become more about Daniel Craig and his take on the character. I read a great left field review quite recently. Again, I spoke to Chris about this, on a website that basically said that the producers of Bond do not know what to do with this character in this day and age. They're frightened to keep him as he is. And Craig, in particular, whilst I've got respect for him as an actor, seems bored with the role, seems that he doesn't enjoy playing the character, and seems like he just wants to, I don't mind. Let's just fuck it up. He doesn't respect the character. He doesn't respect the lineage of it. They don't know what to do with it. He doesn't want to be in the films. It's tragic. And they're churning them out because they can. They make a hell of a lot of money because he's a loved character. It's because it is a spectacle. We have been starved of the spectacle for 2 years because of what's been happening in the world. And I'm really pleased, as you said in your very, very open introduction about getting bums on seats. I absolutely love cinema. I want people to go to the cinema. I don't want to sit at home. Okay, but equally, I don't want to see characters fundamentally altered to sort of fit in with the current zeitgeist. Bond is Bond. James Bond. And yes, it's a name. It's not a code name. The number, fuck off. Do what you like with the number. All right? If that's the little narrative they're going to play, fine, do what you like. But James Bond is a guy. Read the books. Go back to the original, as written books and get respect for the character. That's it. The actor changes, of course, because they get old. It's like Doctor Who. Right? But fundamentally, it's the character as written. Don't mess with that because you're throwing the baby out with the bathwater, in my opinion. But maybe it's not for me anymore. I'm a sexist, misogynist dinosaur.
Nice quote.
So, Chris, it's spoilers.
For the
We went all the way to the end of the movie there, but James Bond dies. Was there anything else that you liked? Anything else that you hated from the movie as it went on? Did you like the adding of the comedy? This was definitely the one that you could tell that Phoebe Waller-Bridge had been involved in writing.
Well, I think that was part of the problem, is that it was produced by committee and written by committee, and you could tell, or at least I could.
Here come the pink pages.
When a line of dialogue was said, it's like, oh, that's Phoebe Waller, and then that's the director, and it just you could see the change in tone. It was very obvious. I desperately wanted to like things about this film, and the first 2/3 I would say are fairly solid. But then when I realised what was going to happen, because it was just things were falling into place for me that kind of red flags, and I was like, okay, yeah, they're setting him up to die here. The first, I think, was when he took Safin took one of Madeline's hairs when they were having the chat in her office, and I was like, okay, he's going to use that against her, and then it's all going to go horribly wrong. And so at the point at which I worked out that they were going to kill off James Bond, my mood just dived, and I was just sat there dreading the rest of the film, and I was not enjoying it. The car chases were good. The set piece was very good. The scene in the forest, that was really well shot. That was quite eerie, but the director leaned into his horror sort of directing expertise. He'd done it in quite a few horror TV series. and it looked really nice. But the Remy Malek's Safin is just a waste.
I feel like
he's in it for like 3 scenes.
Underdeveloped villain. And I do wonder. I mean, the film is very long. It's 2 and 3/4 hours as it is, and I wonder if there is a scene or two on the cutting room floor that explains his motivation a little bit more, because you really don't get very much of his character's motivation as to why he wants to do what he's doing. Initially, it's I want to kill off Spectre, but that happens halfway through the movie. He kills off Spectre and ends up killing Blofeld, and it's because Mr. White from the previous movies killed my dad. And so, yeah, so I get that motivation, but then the whole motivation then onward didn't make any sense for me. There wasn't really a great deal of plot there for the villain. So, yeah.
I struggle to understand why he would have been able to command this army of scientists and soldiers for his cause, which, like you say, wasn't very clear.
I wonder if they were just trying to get Bond cliches. You must have a base and a lair with lots of people in it, and
it seemed to, yes. They were, whilst reinventing Bond as a person, as a man. And the people around him, they felt like they needed to tick all of the Bond archetype tropes in order to satisfy the me's and the Collins of the world. But it just wasn't enough. I really liked the base, the layer that they had. That was really cool.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, buddy. But I just had to take you to task on the as you say, the sort of the tick boxes, which I think differentiated Skyfall from Spectre, for example. Now, I like Skyfall. I'm a fan. A lot of Bond purists don't like it, even though it was very successful. I do know of Bond fans that didn't dig it, because it was a scaled down. Even I could admit it's really a three-hander. It's a three-hander drama with 3 very good actors. Again, no disrespect to Mr. Craig and Javier. I say it like I know him. Javier Bardem and Judi Dench. And it's a three-hander. And there's a good story, and there's a little bit of this and a bit of that. But it's not a Bond film as we know it, which is what Spectre becomes. It becomes... But that's clumsily put together. It's a kit of parts. And so it's like, again, they can't figure out what to do with it. They keep throwing away concepts and bringing them back in. For example, what are you expecting? An exploding pen? We don't really go in for that anymore. Next film, he's got an exploding Omega. So make your mind up. You can't have it both ways. You know, if you're going to set out this universe, don't then contradict that universe. You know, because otherwise it's just, what are you doing? They don't know what they're doing. That's what it is. You're lurching from sort of one thing to another. So, I don't know. I don't need to see, although I was quite amused to see what was, I'm assuming, was the Pinewood stage with some water in the bottom and some people walking around in red hazmats. I'm thinking, well, this is cool, right? But it's not necessary, because I loved Skyfall for its sort of stripped back. And for me, again... It's about the fact that with Skyfall, Bond was Bond in terms of his character. The issue I have with this film, big time, is that he's just not Bond. He isn't Bond. He's Bond how Fiona What's It Suspension Bridge would like him to be. That's not Bond. It's like, what are you doing? You know, I'm over it though, honestly. It's just a movie.
I think, like you're saying, Paul, that it seems like there was a lot missing to explain Safin and his motivations, and I feel like they originally wanted to make him Dr. No,
that's what I've heard as well. I've heard
or the son of Dr. No,
an archetype of Dr. No, yes.
And it was just dropped. At one point, one of his henchmen actually called him a doctor.
Yeah,
but that I don't know whether that was ADR or it was just a line to something else, but it seemed strange that there was that one single reference that was in his lair. And also, I mean, the location of the lair, the geography of it, I thought we were going to see a monorail at one point. I was thinking, is this supposed to be the underground volcano from You Only Live Twice? And then again, I thought when Bond gets to the lair from that cool plane submarine thing that he and Lasagna
note by the way that he literally took a
to
back
get
seat
to
in
it.
it.
I thought he was going to say that he was going to say, "Oh, this looks familiar," or or just he was going. There was going to be some subtle reference to him knowing, having been here already. And then no, it's very strange because you were asking before: is James Bond just a code name? Can anyone carry on the 007/James Bond mantle? And is Daniel Craig the same? Is he playing the same character as the other James Bonds? Well, I thought he was supposed to be, which was one of the reasons why I'm not a big fan of Casino Royale, because they're kind of saying, oh, well, we're going to wipe the slate clean and this is a new start. But it is the same person because they brought Dame Judi Dench back as M. And then there were these references to the other films. So the fact that he had a DB5 with the ejector seat that he knew about and M knew about, but yet he didn't go... He didn't carry out the mission from Goldfinger. He didn't meet or at Goldfinger. So there's this weird conflicting message that they're sending. And also, in this film, we see in MI6, we see portraits of all the other M's. And at that point, I was thinking, well, what the hell are you... What is going on? I was so confused that I was thinking, well, is this just a self-contained James Bond arc? But no, there were too many things saying, oh, well, look, there are all the other M's. It's like, so it is, he is the same person as the one who defeated Goldfinger, who skied off the cliff and opened a Union Jack flat. That's the same person. So for me, and this kind of, I've been thinking about this, over the last few weeks, whilst I have been grieving, that whenever we watch James Bond, no matter where if he's being tortured by the Koreans, whilst Madonna sings, or if he's sorry to use another Pierce Brosnan one, but if he driving a tank around St. Petersburg, he is always going to die at this point in his life. Yeah. That's the same James Bond. Yeah. And that sucks.
I completely get your point. And I am of the differing opinion that James Bond is a mantle and is a number, and that this is the most recent James Bond, and they've all been different people. And the reason why M carried on was because it's just another person that's taken over, and logic dictates that James Bond has died many times because Sean Connery's James Bond is probably dead.
No, that makes no sense. Can I just can I read you page one? Could I read you page one of Casino Royale?
What I mean is, in that he's just.
Can I read you page one?
He's just aged.
Second paragraph. James Bond suddenly knew that he was tired. He always knew when his body or his mind had had enough, and he always acted on the knowledge. This helped him to avoid staleness and the sensual bluntness that breeds mistakes. James Bond. It doesn't say Fred Dibbs or John Smith. It says James Bond. That's his name. It's the name of the character, the agent. It's not interchangeable. The numbers thing, I can't be bothered to argue right now. But the trouble is that we're getting into... I mean, again, the thing for me, which is where I went, boom, is when they were trying to join this stuff up. Suddenly, it was like, oh, it's all got to interlink. It's like, what? Why are you trying to... I mean, this is Inspector, right? He goes down into MI6, which is ready to be blown up, but you can just walk into it, and there's a speedboat in the basement with fuel and the keys in it. But apart from that, it is going to be demolished, okay? See, I love Bond, but fucking come on. And then so they walk in, and it's all joined together, and we're supposed to take this massive left turn and go, holy shit, they're all joined together. They weren't joined when they started out with this. They weren't joined in 2006. They must have woke up one morning and gone, let's stick all these together. Let's get them all stuck together. And that's the problem with it. And again, they contradict themselves. As I said about the pen and the watch and all, they contradict themselves. So stop trying to do something that fundamentally doesn't work and trying to make this issue, oh, we must have this big arc. Why have you got to have a big arc? Why can't you just have an adventure? The end. And then do another adventure. And why have you got to... I'll tell you why. Because I dug out an old interview with Melvin Bragg on a South Bank show that he did with doing a Bond when they were shooting. He said, oh, all the Bonds, it's all been done. So he said, we made a decision on this, that Bond's journey is internal. That is the leitmotif for these films. It's an internal journey. If that answers any questions for you, great. But it doesn't float my boat. But that's what's happened. Yeah. That might have been the sweetener to keep him coming back, even though he was like, well, I'd rather slip my wrists than do another one. Way to go, mate. Way to go. I mean, Roger Moore, he loved it. He loved being an actor. He loved playing this role. You've only got to read one of his books. He loved life. Whereas this guy, again, I'm sure he's a fantastic bloke. I've never met him. But he just comes across as someone that fundamentally doesn't want to do what he's doing. And it's like, if you don't like it, mate, fuck off. Let someone else do it. Have a bit of a laugh. Have some fun with it. Because it goes over to the audience. Chris is himself, like me, he's grieving it. It's taken audience. They've trashed it. They've trashed the legacy. And maybe we just have to accept that we're just old fuckers over the hill now. And they're reinventing it for the new generation. Whatever that is. Okay? So, yeah, I can accept that. I just hit 50. It's game over. But don't mess with it. It's just a movie.
On that note, it is just a movie. But yeah, it's clearly hit us all.
Is Chris, are you still alive?
And I did think that this is the one.
Barely.
He's still there. I did think James Bond had a kid in this movie, and I would have liked them when she said that. Don't worry, she's not yours. For him to have said, "Oh yeah, I know that," because there is no way that my junk works after what happened in Casino Royale. That's one line I would have liked in this movie. Yeah.
I like that.
Because that would have made sense and connected it back to Casino Royale. Because, I don't think that he could have fathered a child.
To the right! To the right!
So, that would have been a nice connecting arc that Colin would have liked. There would... and then we wouldn't have had a kid in a James Bond film. Well, thank you very much, Colin. This has been our first review.
And my last.
On 5 on Film. No, I'm pleased that you didn't like it, because it's always nice to have different perspectives. What would have you given this movie out of 5 for our 5 on Film? If I need to ask.
It gets a point for technicalities. competencies, I should say. And then it goes, but then he starts no more two. 1.5, 2,
Chris?
1.5.
I agree with Colin. It's were it not for the horrific ending and where they have left the franchise, I would have probably given this a 3, maybe a 4, if we'd just seen this Daniel Craig just drive off in the Aston Martin Vanquish and that be it. But no, 2, 2 points.
For me, I liked it. I know that I'm differing on you two. I would have given it a 4. I don't think it's as good as Casino Royale or Skyfall, but I had a good time in the movie. It was an interesting decision that they took.
Out of curiosity, then, Paul, how did you feel at the end of the film?
Do you know what? I actually felt relatively satisfied in terms of. So for me, I watched a movie that I enjoyed. I thought that there were what else the end of Spectre was him driving off into the sunset with a family, and I didn't feel satisfied then. The only other
he did not drive off with a family. He didn't drive off with a family, my friend. He just drove off with a woman.
Well, no, the family. No, sorry. He drove off. What I mean is, with the idea of him being able to have just a monogamous relationship, which is not James Bond. He was trying to go off and have what would deem be a normal life, and then this film made it that you can't have a normal life, and the only thing different, the only way you could have changed that up, I think, was either kill her, which I thought was, when you were saying that you thought that they were gonna kill him, I had more of an inkling that she was going to die initially.
But that was just but they've already done that. They'd already done that with Vesper. They'd already done Her
Majesty's Secret Service.
They'd already done that with Vesper. They'd already couldn't go down that line again. Right? Even though he kept banging on and saying, "Oh, I'm like, everything I touch turns to shit" and all that. It's just like, yeah, well, deal with it, mate. Go and work in a shop if you don't like it.
So when they killed him, I felt like it was the correct end for the arc of the character, of this version of Bond, if that makes sense. So for me, it worked. I know it didn't for you guys, but for me, it did.
All right, mate.
I thought it was a.
I can't believe you come out of a cinema being satisfied that James Bond was killed.
Yeah,
I mean,
you cold
true
man.
That is true.
When I say I had an enjoyable time at the movies. I was.
What did you see? Did you see the same film?
The character had died, but I enjoyed the movie. If that makes any sense.
Well, fair enough. If we all agreed, it would be boring.
I was quite tired.
Anyway, lads, I think I might just go off and watch one of my clearly one of the best ones.
Thank you very much.
I thought that was bad.
Well,
no.
Colin, is there anything you'd like to plug?
The hole in my face. It's an absolute pleasure. I'm very grateful to be asked onto the programme. I hope that my barely contained rage hasn't put you off, or indeed anybody that's watching. Remember, it is only a movie, everything's all right.
I'm loving the enthusiasm. Well, thank you very much for joining us, Chris. Anything to sign off with?
My theory is that now that they have an Amazon deal, I think they are now going to branch off, and they'll give Nomi 007 a TV series with the supporting cast around her, Ray Fiennes and Q and Moneypenny, and they'll go off and do like a TV series of 007, and then Barbara Broccoli will do a hard reboot of James Bond, in keeping with the tagline "James Bond will return." That's the only thing I can think I can see happening, and neither of which I like.
This is one thing I'm going to pose this question to both of you just very quickly. Would you like it to continue in modern vein, or would you like to see him go back to the Cold War and see movies, when this gets rebooted, set back in the day?
No, I prefer them to be contemporary.
Okay.
Yeah, same. I would want it to be contemporary. I think they kind of really dragged James Bond through the mud in trying to update him for the contemporary world, and if they're wanting to regenerate him and the franchise, then they need to stay away from the misogynist 1960s, 70s, 80s, and keep him in modern day.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you everybody for listening and for watching. If you're watching us on YouTube, please subscribe, like the video, all of that stuff helps us out. If you're on the podcast feed, thank you very much for listening. Find us on YouTube. If you're on YouTube, we're on the podcast, Spotify, Apple, Google. Go find us there at 5 on Film, and we're on the socials, 5 on Film, at Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And we'll hope to see you soon. Thank you very much. All views expressed in this podcast are that of the individual and do not represent the views of any entity whatsoever which they have been or will be affiliated with in the future.
I'll see you in my lair.